Hello, it's Juliana here, and I want to talk about kind of the history of rainbow dolls in the Rainbow High doll line, specifically dolls that are rainbow themed or have rainbow hair or some sort of thing like that. So the very first one was Amaya, more specifically her her hair salon playset doll. Like the doll that released alongside the Room High Hair Salon playset back during the first series of Rainbow High dolls when they were released. And this is her Fantastic Fashion release, so this is a different version of Amaya than the one I am referring to, but this is only Amaya I have. So this character was originally known for her white hair and her rainbow highlights. So if you move her hair around, yeah, you can see all sorts of just rainbow highlights in this hair. Like she always had a whole thing with the peekaboo rainbow. And this doll and this character in the Room High show was always interesting to me because she was never my favorite. And a lot of people felt like when she first released, she was replacing Bella. Because, in the Room High show, there was this whole pet character thing with, Bella Parker getting expelled for taking pictures of student work to enter a contest for an internship with a stage designer she liked. So this is Bella, in case you're curious. This is my second Bella, who I am customizing in the Aimiko from Genshin Impact, which is why she's dressed like this. But yeah, Bella is the resident pink girl in the Rainbow High line, all the way back from Rainbow High Series 2. But yeah, Amaya was released before Bella's first doll was, which is a very interesting point to make here. Amaya's very first doll is older than Bella's very first doll, despite Bella getting more of a story in the Rainbow High show than her. And I remember back in the day, all the old discussions, wondering if, Amaya is a Mary Sue, or, joking about how she's, MGA's golden child as far as Rainbow High line goes, because she was getting a lot of dolls and being treated like a part of the main group, which is currently the main 8, which is, Ruby, Poppy, Sunny, Jade, Skylar, Violet, along with Bella Parker and Amaya Rain. So the main group is kind of well established to represent different colors of the rainbow. But Amaya was the first member of that group to really have the whole rainbow in her hair. And then you have later releases like Kaya Hart, Jet Dawson, the Devious Twins, that have the rainbow hair as well. And we don't know if there are others, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were some that we're forgetting to list here. But like I said, oh yeah, there's also Rainbow Dream, which is this one Rainbow High rock band theme line back from Generation 1 of the doll line. And they all had some sort of variation of rainbow highlights in their hair, with Carmen Major representing more of a neon rainbow, Vanessa Tempo being representing more like a traditional rainbow, like kind of similar to Iris Bow, except Vanessa Tempo's hair is all like micro braids. And then like Lyric Lucas representing more of a dark rainbow or a muted rainbow. But most interesting example I find as well is the Devious Twins. Because if you look at these dolls, you wouldn't think they represent a whole rainbow. But if you have them together as twins, complete, yes, they perfectly represent and encapsulate the whole rainbow. Like, even with their, like, purse colors, like, you go from red to purple. Basically, to the beginning of the rainbow to the end of the rainbow. And their hair color blends are also specifically all the cool tone colors and the warm tone colors of the rainbow. So that if you put their ponytails next to each other, yes, they represent the whole entire rainbow with these two dolls. And yes, I know, like, while I joke about not really liking the Devious Twins that much because they're the Storm Twins rivals and arch enemies, they are great dolls in their own right. And they're, like, very well designed. Even their color themes represent opposite sides of the rainbow, and they're, like, meant to be very, like, have the same silhouette, but be opposite to each other. Like I love that whole design concept with them. Like, you could have them right next to each other, where they're, like, the same, but they're polar opposites, what their color themes. Even with one of them wearing, like white and one of them wearing black. It's like, this is a very cool concept. And the metals as well. Here you have gold and silver. And the duality between those. And it's really cool how these two represent a sort of duality with the whole rainbow theming and how creatively this is used. So now let's move on to how the rebrand treats, like, rainbow colored characters. So while in the original Room Highline it was seen but not seen too much, in the rebrand I feel like it's portrayed as a bit more of, like, a power up for characters to be rainbow colored and have rainbow hair. Because especially with the Rainbow World stuff, with seasons like 5 and 6, there's a whole, like, transformation element added to this. Like, you see the girls get magical glow-ups. And then come season 6, you have the introduction of, like, the magical rings that give them additional powers and abilities. And the introduction of Iris Bow, which, if anyone ever thought that Amaya Rain was a Mary Sue or wasn't the best written, Iris just blows her out with the water with that. Like, Iris's introduction to the show wasn't well written. I'm sure we all know that. Just from my own review on Iris, I am not a fan of her writing. I am not a fan of how she was introduced into the show. But she exists, so we need to talk about her. Personally, I feel like if you've seen the Barbie line, you know what kind of doll Iris is meant to be like. Like, if Amaya is the Malibu Barbie of the Rainbow High line, I personally feel like Iris is the Brooklyn Barbie of the Rainbow High line. Like, she was a character created to add more diversity to the line where it was needed. And, like, and her being, like, a rainbow character means she's gonna get a lot of dolls and she's going to be treated as more of a main character, whether people like it or not. So in a way, these two are like the Malibu and Brooklyn Barbie of the Rainbow High line. Because they're always going to get a lot of dolls. They're always going to have that rainbow kind of theming, but maybe executed a little differently. And I hate to bring race into anything, but Iris Bow being a black girl is definitely great for representation in the Rainbow High line. It adds more to her purpose. It lets black girls like watch the show and be able to see themselves and dolls that look like them, which is really cool. Yeah, so basically Iris is the Brooklyn Barbie of the Rainbow High line. And that's kind of how I stand for what her purpose in the Rainbow High show is. Like, and I do hope that MGA is able to write her into the show a little bit better and give her more of like a story arc and like character development where she feels more like a real person rather than just someone who was like written in as like a last second villainess or something. And then after Iris, the introduction of like Rainbow into more characters is really interesting. Because you have a gimmick line, which is the Rainbow Shimmers line. The Rainbow Shimmers line is basically like upgraded, powered up versions of the main of the girls who happen to be Ring Shimmers. And this line includes like Iris, Bella, Violet, and Skylar, interestingly enough. But this is a line where they all have slime, like have to have these clear legs where you can put slime in them. And they also all have rainbow highlights. The rainbow highlights are very much a defining factor of that line, and it's meant to show that yes, these girls have gotten power-ups in Rainbow World. These girls have gotten glow-ups yet again, which makes them stand apart even more from the characters who aren't necessarily ring shimmers as the show portrays it. And then after this, the next incidents of rainbow hair and characters I see with rainbow hair is the bedazzling line. So this is Genevieve. And a lot of the bedazzling line often has characters with like brighter rainbow hair or like more pastel rainbow or like rainbow colors that are more complementary to their respective hair colors. And we're not sure about the meaning of this right now, as all we know about the bedazzling dolls is that they go to is that they live in Paris, and they probably go to like a French or Paris version of the Rainbow High School, so there isn't really much to go off of other than them being French and going to whatever the French version of Rainbow High is. But we hope that the Rainbow High show and the doll line will give more insight into that. So, what do you think? Do you think that the rainbow is meant to signify like a power up or a doll being more important in the Rainbow High line or in the Rainbow High world? Or do you think like it's just an aesthetic choice and some characters happen to be rainbow? And let's not forget that there's also the Color and Create line, which are dolls that basically lack any character in the show and have a whole absence of any sort of color in their design. So what do you think their purpose is as well? If you have any theories on the purpose or the lore of rainbow-themed dolls from High Line, please feel free to let me know in the comments and just have fun theorizing about it. So goodbye, mysterious audience. I love you, and I really appreciate you watching the channel. And it was fun to theorize a little bit about the purpose of all the rainbow-themed dolls and just talk about them.